What do you think when you hear the word leadership or leader? I know when I was a kid, I thought it was the person in charge, the person who made everybody else work, do what you wanted them to do, and you basically got to boss everybody around. And I think that was in part influenced by the game Follow the Leader, where there was a kid who got in front and there was a line of kids following him or her. And what they did was that the first kid, the leader, would do a series of tasks, bounce a ball, go jump, do whatever it was. And each kid behind them had to do the same task, had to follow along. You had to follow the leader. And I know what I thought about with leadership is that for the most part, at least even in my thinking now, is I think of power and control. I think of being the one in charge and having everybody else, kind of like my kid's idea, having everybody else do what you want them to do. And if you look at the news and you see when people get out there and talk about being leaders or they are leaders, you'll see that's exactly what they tell you. They want to be in power. They want to be in control. They want to do it their way. And that's the only way they can do it is by being this leader. Hopefully, we've all had experiences with good leaders. And unfortunately, I think a lot of us have had experiences with some bad leaders. And I know I've had experiences with a lot of bad leaders over my time. And I think we can kind of summarize or we can see some of the traits that make a bad leader. I think one of the attitudes that makes a bad leader is the attitude of kind of my way or the highway. I'm always right. I don't want input. Just do what I say. Another one is micromanaging, where that's kind of what they do all the time. They give tasks or they give you responsibilities, but then they're always in there trying to either find out what's going on or control what's going on and don't give their team members the opportunity to do it themselves, but are always in there kind of digging around and not kind of getting out of the way and letting people handle their responsibilities. I think another one that I've seen is that the rules that apply to everybody else don't apply to them. And it's almost this attitude that because I'm leading, because I'm taking the risk, because I'm in charge, I get certain privileges. So I get to kind of do what I want, but those rules don't exactly apply to me. Kind of along the same lines, they handle the responsibilities they want to handle, and they dole out all the rest of the responsibilities, especially the ones that they really don't want to do. I think a big one is that bad leaders don't tend to take responsibility. They will blame other people, blame their team, blame every other factor out there, but will not take that responsibility when they are the ones in charge. And kind of on the flip side, when things go right, they're the first ones to take all the credit. So even though their team may have made them look good and done this work, they're the ones that get the pat on the back. I think one of the last things I'll mention about a bad leadership is that they're really not on the front lines with the team. They kind of sit in the back, they give direction, they let the team go out there and do all the work while they sit back and kind of in some ways stay comfortable while the team is out there kind of struggling, doing all the work and putting in all the effort. I think many of us have had experiences with bad leaders. Hopefully, though, a lot of us have had experiences with good leaders. And hopefully, in watching this, we can learn to be better leaders ourselves and help influence the leaders around us. So what makes a good leader? I think a big trait that makes a good leader is they know their own weaknesses and there's a level of humility there, where they understand that they're not perfect. They understand that they are good at certain things and that they're not good at other things. And they understand that they need that team there. And they're realistic. But they also realize they have the gifts to be in charge, and that's why they're there. I think a trait that makes a good leader is also someone who wants to hear from their team, wants input, wants to hear from the team, wants to hear what they have to offer, will consider all reasonable suggestions. So on your team, you always want people that are going to think like you somewhat, but you also want people that aren't going to think like you, so they can bring up different ideas. They're also willing to take those ideas, consider all of them, and actually make a decision based on those ideas. Because I have experienced leaders that will basically have paralysis by analysis, where they can't make a decision and they continue to consider everything when a decision needs to be made. This might sound contradictory, but if you're not a good follower, you're not going to be a good leader. You need to know what it's like in the ranks to understand how to lead. So as a follower, if you're complaining, you're not a team player, you're always grumbling, and you're not kind of going along with the mission, doing your own thing, you're not a good follower. That isn't going to make you a good leader. A good leader will empower his team, give them the tasks, allow them to do them, be available for discussion and continued collaboration, and also keeps the team accountable. I've had leaders that have dumped a bunch of tasks and then we never hear about them ever again. Things aren't getting done and nobody's ever following up on them. So you need both. And that leader then should be accessible and should be keeping you accountable in the right way for the different things that need to get done in the team. And I think this actually might directly go with follow the leader. A leader leads, right? A leader is not sitting back and holding back, but a leader is in the trenches on the front line with the team, is experiencing what is going on. They're the ones taking the hit with the team, taking responsibility. And I think right alongside that, they are, as well as being focused on the mission that they need to do, whatever that happens to be, whether it's a job or a service opportunity, they are doing everything they can do to protect their team. So if somebody from outside comes in and has either a complaint or there's an issue, it's going to be the leader that is going to take the responsibility and protect and nurture their team. Honestly, I even know this with myself, and I know this with some of my friends. There's a sense where when you're asked to lead, you kind of don't want to lead. You realize the weight of leadership that comes with that. You realize you're going to be on the front lines. It's a lot of work. You need to work to protect your team. And in some ways, it's a lot easier to sit and be a part of a team, but sometimes we're called on to be leaders. If you've got leadership skills, you're going to be called to be a leader. And I think we have to have the attitude at times where when we are asked or when we are put in that position to lead, that we have a servant leadership attitude, that it is not the my way or the highway, I'm out there, you need to do it this way and look at me. It's I'm here for the good of the mission and for the good of the team, and I'm going to do everything I can do to keep it together, which is going to take a lot of work, which is going to take a lot of effort, and the leader should actually be the one that is the hardest working out of the entire team. We've all seen it where we're a part of a team or we're a part of something and you see the leader go home early and allow the team to do what they're doing. So we really have to reframe that. As a leader, we need to be the hardest working ones, taking the responsibility, taking the hit, looking out for the mission and our team, and continue just to do the right thing, which isn't always easy. When I was in college, one of my friends suggested a movie to watch when we were together. And he said it's a movie basically about leadership, specifically about male leadership. The movie Glory, which was 1989, about the 54th Massachusetts Battalion, one of the first African-American battalions in the Civil War. And it is a great movie, and it shows Colonel Robert Shaw, played by Matthew Broderick. It shows what he went through for his team, to instill dignity on these men and to train them to be soldiers and to be proud when prior to this they did not have that opportunity. It is a really good movie about leadership, and maybe in the comments you can tell me, are there other good movies that you've watched that really show good leadership? Take the opportunity to assess where you are as a leader. I do it all the time. I need to look at when I'm doing things, where I'm doing well, where I'm not, and listen to what the team is telling you. Listen to what trusted advisors are saying to you so that you can get better, that you can be a better leader. And I think it's a good time to assess where we are. Am I a good leader? Am I a bad leader? Am I somewhere in between? And you probably have heard the phrase that a chain is only as strong as its weakest link. What if the weakest link was the leader? If you like what I'm doing, please like, subscribe, comment, and share. I do read the comments. I want to hear what you have to say, and I want to make videos that are going to be appealing to people. So please leave me some ideas and I'll happily consider them, and you might see that in a future video.